This is Dan Dicks here reporting for Press for Truth. A new law is making it crystal clear that sex is determined by biology, not ideology. This is a new landmark ruling by the UK's top court that says the legal definition of a woman refers to biological sex. I can't believe we even have to have this conversation, but here we are. Britain's highest court ruled on Wednesday that only biological and not trans women meet the definition of a woman under equality laws. A landmark decision greeted with concern by trans supporters, but welcomed by the government as bringing clarity. And that's right, there are thousands of people gathering in London to support trans rights following the UK's ruling over this new definition of a woman. And it's not just the UK. There's another major European country that has enshrined biological sex in its constitution. The government of Hungary has just ratified a new amendment to the nation's constitution that recognizes that the biological scientific fact that there are only two genders. Now, I wish the same thing could be said for the Canadian government, but here things have gotten so bad that trans-identifying individuals are now seeking asylum in Canada. Immigration attorneys in Canada are being overwhelmed with requests for information on how to seek asylum from transgender-identifying individuals in the United States, according to a report. And in other news, guys, look at how the president of this school board responded to this young crying girl who was literally traumatized from a man sitting in her change room, locker room, watching her change. Just listen to this. This is just absolutely shocking.
Recently, I went into the women's locker room to change for track practice, where I saw at the end of my row a biological male watching not only myself, but the other young women undress.
Again, this is a young child discussing how a biological male is in the change rooms watching her change, and she was like traumatized by it. She's literally crying. And just wait till you listen to the president of the board's response.
This experience was beyond traumatizing. I must add, he is not changing in our locker room because he's in his track clothes, dressed and ready to go to practice.
You hear that? He's not even changing. He's already in his ready-to-go clothes. He's just in the locker room, hanging out, watching the other girls get changed.
At the beginning of the day. Therefore, there's absolutely no reason for him to be in any locker room, let alone the women's. Adults like yourself made me and my peers feel like our own comfort was invalid, even though our privacy was and still is being completely violated.
She's crying, saying her privacy has been completely violated while this man watches her undress.
The individual who identifies as female has XY chromosomes. Biologically, please.
Says he identifies as a male, but he has XY chromosomes. Biologically, he is a male. This is basic science, basic biology.
Because females have XX chromosomes. This is basic biology.
Okay, please wrap it up.
Yeah.
Did you hear that? She said, okay, please wrap it up, as this poor young girl sits there crying her eyes out about this traumatizing experience, guys. Absolutely unfrickin' believable. This is why these types of landmark rulings by this top UK court is important. Because this is hopefully not just going to set a ripple effect in the UK and in Hungary and places like that, but hopefully all around the world. So stuff like this no longer happens, guys. We're going to talk about all of that and much, much more in this video. But really quickly, guys, just before we do, I'd ask that you check me out here at pressfortruth.ca/donate if you do appreciate my efforts to bring you this info. Here you can do a one-time donation with PayPal. You can do Bitcoin or other cryptocurrencies. You could sign up here or here for a monthly recurring contribution. You could also send an e-transfer to dan@pressfortruth.ca, or you can send stuff to my P.O. box as well, guys. Links for all of this is located right there in the top link in the description of whatever video platform you happen to be watching this on. Thank you so much to anybody who takes 2 minutes or 1 minute today to contribute to my efforts at Press for Truth. All right, guys, it is Easter weekend, and of course, there's a drag queen group mocking Jesus and Christianity in an Easter show that's being marketed to kids. This is the Sisters of Perpetual Indulgence. They are a group of queer and trans nuns who are trying to promote, among other things, spiritual enlightenment. So if you didn't even need any more evidence into just how evil and twisted and satanic this is, I mean, look at their drag queen Easter time show for children. And look at this recent California school board meeting where some transgender protesters yelled, "Hail Satan," as they were walking out calling everybody transphobes. Check this out.
The transphobic pieces of shit. Y'all all burn in hell. Hail Satan! We won't be burning in hell now.
She's calling these people, you're all are crazy anti-trans people. Hail Satan, she says. Again, eliminating any, wonder if some of these people are indeed mixed up in things like Satanism. And again, this story here, with how this school board president reacted to this young girl's traumatizing event is just shocking. The school board meeting has ignited fury after a high school student was shut down as she was revealing a beyond traumatizing experience in the locker room. She had a biological male watching her get changed, like on a daily basis. He had no reason for being in there. She told them that, this is basic biology here. And, as she's struggling to finish through her sentence, she's completely distraught. The school board president, Colleen Martin, instructed her to please wrap it up. This is the lady who says, shut up, young lady. Stop taking up the floor with your tears and be quiet about this nonsense. Again, this is why this new UK law that is clearing the air here on the fact that sex is determined by biology and not ideology is so important, and will hopefully create a ripple effect that will stretch all the way to even places like Canada. In a landmark ruling, the UK Supreme Court established last week that the words sex and woman solely refer to biological sex when it comes to equality laws and language. The implications of this landmark ruling will be felt not only in the UK, but worldwide. Well, hopefully. It is the first time that a legal ruling has reaffirmed the sex-based rights were in danger of, that we were in danger of losing altogether. Sex is binary and immutable. Women's rights derive from biological factors and their reproductive roles. The UK Supreme Court has looked at absurdities such as pregnant men and male lesbians and said, no. And congratulations, UK, for finally being the first to do the right thing. Of course, this hasn't stopped thousands of people from protesting this. Thousands of trans rights protesters have gathered in central London on Saturday, just days after the UK Supreme Court ruled that a woman is someone born in biologically female, and that transgender women are excluded from that legal definition. With unease growing over what the ruling means for the rights of transgender people, protests came together for what was billed as an emergency demonstration in the square. Activists demanded trans liberation and trans rights now, and they're waving their flags and banners. Trans groups are worried that Wednesday's landmark decision would undermine their rights, even though the UK's highest court said that transgender people remain protected from discrimination. The head of Equality and Human Rights Commission said that the ruling will mean that transgender women will be excluded from women's toilets, hospital wards, and sports teams. And again, it's about time. Of course, that is exactly what should be happening. And thank God it's not just the UK, but you've got other major European countries, doing this, like Hungary, who just made this move. The Hungarian parliament voted in favor of the resolution, which simply states that a person is either a man or a woman. By a huge margin, too. The votes were 140 to just 21. The amendment also asserts that the protection of children precedes the right of assembly and grants police new powers to, check this out, shut down gatherings such as pride parades if they are determined to be lewd in nature and potentially damaging to physical, mental, or moral development of minors. Bravo, Hungary, for taking it to that next level and saying, yeah, okay, not only are we going to say that there are, you're either a man or a woman, and, sex is determined by your biology, but on top of that, we will not allow you to brainwash young children with this nonsense. If you are doing anything that can be considered lewd, damaging to the physical, mental, or moral development of minors, you may be shut down in Hungary. And again, this is taking this into its logical next step. And again, the same can't be said for Canada, which has gone in the opposite direction. Trans-identified people are now seeking Canada for asylum. Immigration attorneys in Canada are overwhelmed, they say, with requests from people seeking asylum in Canada who are, transgender identified individuals from the United States. The Canadian newspaper The Globe and Mail reports that the alarmed alphabet people are looking to be granted political asylum as if it's a hostile dystopian takeover, a la The Handmaid's Tale. We are receiving numerous inquiries from U.S. nationals, including many trans individuals who are no longer feeling safe at home. It's just crazy to me that so many, Syrians, Iranians, Afghans, you name it, people from the Middle East who happen to be Christian are not allowed to migrate here for safety concerns. But if you're in the United States and you happen to be transgender, you can actually seek asylum in Canada, like, no problem. It's just absolutely crazy, guys. But again, this is why, we need to point out these wins when we have them, like what's going on in the UK and what's just taken place in Hungary as well. So just wanted to bring both of those to your attention, guys. You can check all the links in the description for all of this if you want to look into it for yourself. But just wanted to bring all of this to your attention, guys. Once again, if you do appreciate my efforts to do so, don't forget to check me out right here, pressfortruth.ca/donate. Once again, you can do PayPal, you can do cryptocurrencies, you can send an e-transfer, you can send stuff to my P.O. box. Once again, guys, I can't do this work without the support that comes directly from you, the viewers. So thank you so much to anybody who does take 1 minute today to check out the link for pressfortruth.ca/donate. And that's all for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Please click that thumbs up button, share this video, and stay tuned, guys. We're going to have more video reports coming soon, God willing. This is Dan Dicks reporting for Press for Truth. We all want truth. The truth will set you free.